Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. I'm continuing my series on the Dragon Ball Super S.H.Figuarts reviews with the Future Trunks arc. So we've looked at the Vegetos, we've looked at the Zamasus, next we are looking at Future Trunks. So there have been two releases of the Dragon Ball Super Future Trunks, which is the regular one that was just called Super Saiyan Trunks, as well as the Future Trunks event exclusive from last year. Now these are, for the most part, the exact same figures. There are some slight differences in terms of accessories, where the event exclusive is missing a few things, but has a brand new color and face system, and doesn't have the powered down head. Now, there are some things to go over in terms of the original release, because mine was a pre-owned figure, and whether or not it comes from a previous owner or just the sculpt has degraded over time, there are some issues. So we will be going over that shortly. So out of the box, the regular release Trunks comes with a pretty good chunk of accessories. So we've got the figure itself, we've got 4 faces, an alternate head sculpt, 2 faces for Super Saiyan, 2 faces for powered down, we've got his sword, we've got his broken sword, we've got a Gallic Gun effect part, we've got the Spirit Sword, as well as a stand for the sword. So a pretty damn massive range of accessories. I think that they did this specifically because they knew they wouldn't be making another Future Trunks from this arc, so it works pretty well. And the event exclusive comes with a little bit less, but it is still a pretty good loadout. So the figure itself, 4 faces, all Super Saiyan heads. He's got his sword, he's got his broken sword, as well as the Gallic Gun effect. So realistically, the only thing you're missing is the powered down head and the Spirit Sword, which does suck a little bit, but I don't think that this release is lacking in any particular way. It's more so comes down to a matter of preference, as well as if you like the coloring style of the event exclusive or not. Now, one of the things about my pre-owned figure, I have got a broken scabbard on mine. Apparently there was a really bad mushroom peg on the original release, so I've had to pin the scabbard because it came broken. I was told that when I bought it originally, and I was fine with that because it was massively reduced, but it is something to note. I had to fix that, and to my knowledge, anyone else would have to fix that, or it would be very difficult if you wanted to remove the scabbard if you had your own brand new figure. I don't know how hard it is to actually remove it, because the event exclusive has a brand new scabbard, and that was fairly easy to put on and off. So I'm not really sure if they changed the sculpt at all between releases, just because I've never had the original, so I can't really vouch for it in its completed state. But taken out of the box and put on a display here are the Trunkses, and they look pretty good, all things considered. It is in that sort of like weird area where the 2.0s were just sort of gaining traction and Super was getting big, so the sculpts were a little bit odd at times because they were using like the rough systems from other figures, but they had to slim them down or change designs as needed. And the Super Future Trunks was quite slim, all things considered, so they had to tweak the 2.0 style quite a bit. Parts of it work, parts of it don't. I think that the Super Saiyan hair sculpt that they went with is sort of like his maxed out power state that he used throughout the arc, and not the sort of like standard Super Saiyan that he used for a large chunk of it as well. And I get that, but it would have been nice if he sort of had like some berserker sort of eyes, or something like completely wide eyes to mimic some of the parts where he had that hairstyle. I don't particularly like how big and spiky it is. It does make swapping the heads really, really awkward, but I just think another Super Saiyan hair sculpt would have been nicer, just not as sort of like powered up. I think it would have been cool if it was just that sort of like more simple Super Saiyan 1-ish hairstyle that we're more accustomed to, that he used for the majority of the earlier parts of that arc. But again, it's been a long time since I've seen the Future Trunks arc, so I'm just basing it off of my vague memory and me playing Sparking Zero recently. Now, in terms of posability, they're both the exact same, so we'll go through the older figure first. So he's got a ball joint at the head and neck. The collar piece can pop off because that's sort of how you slide on the scabbard. Again, this is the repaired scabbard, so it popped off a lot for me just because I didn't pin it correctly because it was early in my crafting career. His arm can rotate all the way around like that. He can butterfly in pretty well. He's got an upper arm swivel, bend at the elbow, as well as a ball hinge at the wrist. There's a ball joint in the upper chest, which allows for some pretty decent movement, nothing too crazy, and it is difficult with the scabbard, but he's not really too limited in any particular way. He can do the splits that far, kick forward and back that far, which is pretty good, and there's an upper thigh swivel. It's a bit tight on both figures, and there's a bend at the knee, as well as a pivot and hinge at the ankle, as well as a bend at the toes. It's a little limited due to the boot, but that's pretty normal for the 2.0s. The other thing is that this figure has an incredibly loose left leg. I don't know if that's something that was consistent across all of this release, or it's just my copy, or it's my copy over time, because the event exclusive does not have this problem. It makes putting him in poses quite difficult, especially when you put extra weight on the figure, like when you're doing the spirit sword. Now, in terms of faces, you get a decent chunk with the original Trunks just because of the variety of swapping the heads. So he's got a smiling face out of the box for his neutral head, as well as a shouting face. I do think that they should have had a neutral face completely for the base figure, just because you can't have too many serious looks with the powered down head. But for the Super Saiyan head, you get a shouting face, as well as a teeth-gritted angry face looking to the side. They're pretty good. Again, a neutral face would have been good as well. For the event exclusive, you get a smiling Super Saiyan face, you get a teeth-gritted angry face looking to the front, you get an angry mouth-open shouting face looking to the side, as well as a mouth-open shouting face looking forward. And again, these are pretty good. The color style is interesting just because the faces are a little more pale, or have like this sort of color scheme to match the rest of the figure, because it is in this sort of glossy purple to mimic him using the Gallic gun, because that's what the event exclusive is particularly mimicking. It's the Gallic gun aura, which is interesting because there's no aura effect with this figure, but it's sort of meant to be that scene where he's doing the Gallic gun, especially with Vegeta, but having him pose just regularly looks a bit weird because he's just, you know, glossy purple. But otherwise, it's a pretty decent looking figure. But with all those accessories, you can get Future Trunks into some pretty good poses. The base figure looks great with the Spirit Sword if you can get him to stand, just because, again, the weight distribution is pretty wild. I feel like it's just an age thing because that left leg on this Trunks could barely hold him up. The stand is basically holding him just above the ground because the leg just could not handle anything, and the stand is trying its best to hold up the sword. But it does look really, really cool. It has a lot of presence, and he pairs pretty damn well with the Zamasu, just so you can recreate that scene where he's slicing him in half, and it is really, really cool, all things considered. The Gallic gun effect is pretty alright as well. It's got a sort of mushroom peg sort of thing on both releases, so once it's in, it's pretty secure, but I was scared about breaking it when I was taking it out. But all things were fine, so I didn't break the original figure any more than it already was, but it is pretty damn good. I do like that the broken sword is the sword that you put in the scabbard instead of putting the full sword in. I think that that's a nice touch in terms of like not worrying about any paint chipping or anything like that when you slide a sword in. I've always worried about that, and I do prefer the sort of like swappable hilt thing that they do sometimes with like the Zoro figures for the One Piece line, just to make sure that there's no like paint rub or damage to the actual blade. And you can get the base Future Trunks into some pretty alright poses, assuming he can hold the pose. And the event exclusive is pretty good as well. Again, you are a little bit limited due to the coloring style, just because he doesn't match too well just being like gloss purple at all times. But if you're fine with that, he's a pretty alright release. I do really like the more translucent, bright hair. it really sells you on the powered up Super Saiyan state, and I think that looks really, really nice. If you really like that hair and you have the original release, you can absolutely swap the parts around. It doesn't take too much to do that, so that's cool. And this Trunks pairs well with the rest of the line, especially with the Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, so you can do the Father-Son Gallic Gun. So overall, pretty alright releases. I think the accessories are more interesting than the figure itself, just because the figure does feel very standard. Again, the original Future Trunks isn't the best for me just because of the broken scabbard and the really wonky leg. I don't like the faces too much on the normal state of Trunks either. And the slim design, it's sort of take it or leave it if you like that design of Trunks. I do like him being a little bit chunkier, which is why I really, really liked the Boy from the Future Trunks design, just because he matched that more Z look that I'm used to, and I do love that design of Trunks above pretty much any other Dragon Ball design. So I do have my biases going in, so just let that be known, and I have always been a bit weird about the change in Super with the blue hair Trunks to match the blue hair Bulma. It's just a slightly weird choice overall, just because it's just like a strange retcon. It's almost like Piccolo's muscles changing from pink to yellow to match the manga, which I don't mind too much. It's just still a little bit jarring that it just happens all of a sudden. But anyway, that was my review of both of the Future Trunks Arc figures. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time. Oh hi, I didn't see you there. As you can see, I'm hard at work making new videos for the channel. Now, while I'm happy with where the channel is right now, I could use your help. By liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel, it helps out the YouTube algorithm and recommends my channel to more people. So if you like any of my videos, please let me know, it really helps out. And if you liked this one, please let me know too. It means a lot to me, and I really, really appreciate all of you guys.